And isn't that just amazing? Because now you can hear me. It seems that I do this every single time, so I'll have more editing to do when I'm done with the show. So let me start up again. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Message Guardians episode 10, which I didn't say before. I'm going to try to make this show a little bit more relaxed and try to remember to turn on my microphones when I'm using them, and make this a little bit more relaxed. Last week was a wonderful show. It's in 3 parts, and there's a full version too for those who just want to click it and let it run. All of it's in our YouTube channel, Messenger Guardians Paranormal Investigation Studios, Inv.Stds. You can go back and look for that, and that'll be great for those who want to go back and check those out. Ultimately, I'm going to put those all into a playlist. That way you'll be able to just play them one after the other without having to go searching for them on the channel directly. And ultimately, I'll get to doing that. But I got to work my day job, too. Well, my day job, which is all online. But and I love my day job. I love teaching. So, tonight I wanted to talk about, go back into further back into the past. We were back in the days that would ultimately birth NUPS, Norwich University Paranormal Society, and I know I've done plenty of episodes on them, but I wanted to show. I wanted to go back to the time I was using my portal for the first time, that Steve Huff had first built. That's not my technology. I learned it right from him. So give his show a shout out. Give his channel a shout out. Huff Paranormal. Also give a shout out to ITC community and Facebook. Instrumental Transcommunication. I think that's right. But give that whole group a shout out. Instrumental Transcommunication, ITC. I owe a lot to that group, and I owe a lot to the people who were there that listen to these sort of things and have the patience with these kind of shows. But one thing I had always noticed, and again, as this show grows and people start coming on to talk, and we actually start getting guests like we did with Justin last week, for people who want to be able to come on and talk about this sort of thing, is that you don't see a lot of the background work or the behind the scenes work in these kind of shows, and because it's tedious and it's generally believed that nobody wants to see that. Well, on a planet that has 7.5 billion people, with 2 billion or 2 or 3 billion people online, able to get online, where the other half of the planet's population isn't easily. Even in 3.5 billion people, there's still someone who might be interested on even a scientific level of seeing what happens behind the scenes, whether they agree or disagree. With this kind of show, whether you believe in something or don't believe in it, yes, that affects how your outcome, how the outcome of your data collection is. That affects how you might see it. It absolutely does, no doubt. But your data is affected. All these things are affected. Someone else can look at the same data and come to another conclusion. And it all depends on the filter that they're using to the filter that they're existing within, the filter that they're using. So, and I got a little bit more light on my face. I decided not to turn my cam light on again. This time it's working just fine, but I decided not to turn it on because it's so bright, and I really do like the glow, the kind of afterglow, greenish glow. I've got a greenish glow on the light here, and the maroon floor light. So, we're trying to wrap the setting up. So, but what I wanted to do was I wanted to show you all, what things sounded like. The things that we started getting when we really started doing paranormal investigation work on campus. Just myself and the one student, the one cadet that helped start the whole thing, who left the campus later for greener pastures and other things, but whom I'm still in contact with, and who's really proud of NUPS and that they came into existence full speed. But I wanted to listen, just listen to a couple of the recordings we did in Chaplain Hall, which would have been essentially the first investigation of in Chaplain Hall, which I think was great. I think it's wonderful to have that first investigation, but we managed to get permission to get into the office of a professor who was on sabbatical, and sit in that office and do some recordings, because in that area of where we were, up on the second or third floor, there was a lot of issues. There were a lot of problems with things roaming around up there. When things were being turned down and doors were being locked and people were leaving work. So it was really interesting. And this is way back in, I think, 2016 or 17 when we did these recordings. Had to be, I would say it was probably 17. It was probably around March, maybe. It was probably in the spring of 2017. So I'm going to put up some of this right now, and we're going to listen in on it. And give me a moment here, and I'm going to knock out my desktop sound so you all don't hear me putting it up. And then I'll be able to, once I can let you listen in on what we were doing and how we were doing it, and the things that were coming through our boxes. Once we do that, then I'm able to take you back to. I'm able to take you back to when I did one of the first major sessions in my own home, because there is later in the session, and I'm hoping we get that far tonight, there is a point in the session where you hear a voice, an actual human voice, not coming from the portal, but the room. And you hear the person, and I'm not even going to say what it is. You'll hear it and I'll stop it and I'll back it up again. But I later come to find out, when I let a person listen, a particular person listen, this person confirmed that they were in meditation and was doing meditation and ended up in the space where I was doing my investigation at the exact same time they were in meditation, 10 miles away, and looked around the room and said the exact word set. And that's why that voice sounded familiar to me, because it was the sound of a person still with us who was projecting into the room and watching and seeing all the people who'd gathered there. So really kind of interesting. It was really a story between myself and the founder of NUPS. I call him Z for here. I'll call him Z because I'm not going to use his actual name. Really cool character. Absolutely good human being. Is deployed or about to be deployed. So at this point nowadays, but this wonderful companion in the paranormal, and did incredible work. And I thought it was something interesting that you all would like to hear before I take you into a space that links directly back to it, so you can hear this. Plus, I had said that I was going to finish the portal work that I had started with you all. I was going to finish that off. And finally, I'm hoping tonight, even though I don't want to go 2 tons of time tonight, I want to take out the time to be able to listen through to this. Now, the portal work in my place, back when it was just me living here, and it had been for most of the time I've been here, I had actually, when I went over to Scotland to visit a friend and was at her place, her and her husband's place, I sat and did the entire, everything that was being said. And I still have that material, but it wouldn't take. Every time I put it in, it wouldn't settle. It was really strange. And here I am now bringing it all up again, and this time having a fresh listen to things that are happening, to things that are being said, and things and people I'm being introduced to, whom I really should already have known because I had seen them and felt them in my life before. So let's go ahead and do this. And again, everyone's going to listen and hear different things. And so if you are hearing different things, and I'm going to go to my chat if I can find it. Here it is. If you are hearing different things, send it to me in chat. Let me know in chat that you're hearing something different, and I'll look and find out what it is you're hearing. And I've got my phone right in front of me where I should be able to see it. And I'm not that great. My eyesight is terrible, but I should be able to see it. All right. So let's go ahead and listen. And again, this takes a lot of ears. This takes a lot of listening. But this is in the very first, essentially, okay, these weren't the very first investigations we did. We did Sullivan, and we had a lot going on in Sullivan. Lots of chanting and loud noises I mean, yelling quite literally as if someone was in the museum yelling, and you would think we were lying to you up one end and down the other. That was happening just on the audio in the museum. It was crazy, but this is when we did Chaplain Hall, so I'll try to see if I can find the old museum material. But a lot of the older material from these first times is scattered, but I know I have it. So I'm done jabbering, even though that's what the show's about, and we'll go ahead and show it to you here. Hold on a second here. Let me make sure I've got everything on so you can hear when it comes up. Inform. Okay, let me move over so you all can see it.
Sure.
I did. It's on your recording.
No, it sounded like someone was grunting.
Yeah, I know. It did sound like that. Now, granted, we have some people outside of Okay, it was running a moment ago. Is anyone here that wants to speak? We're running Divination Box now, which I'm not sure I actually have anymore. Now, some of the sounds you all are hearing on our recordings coming from people outside. I'm outside Chaplain, so, and we do have full permission to be in here. We've not snuck in or anything like that. That's always going to be the case. We don't sneak into places. What's happening? These official places.
Sorry, Cindy, this muffin.
Okay.
And yes, I'll be getting full night's sleep. This muffin.
Okay. I'm outside Chaplain, so, and we do have full permission to be in here. We've not snuck in or anything like that. What's happening?
I'm tired. Cindy, this muffin.
Okay.
And yes, I'll be getting full night's sleep. Just haven't had a lot of coffee today.
That's strange. All of a sudden, the sweep went down. It's turned on. Now, what you're hearing me do, because it sounds like there's nothing happening, is that we had turned the sweep on the box. We had turned the sweep on, and by the way, the box is down here underneath the table, right next to me. It does still work. I don't have the latest one. I don't have the latest build, and there have been 5 or 10 different builds and better builds of this, and that are even so much better than this. And but I still have the first generation one, and I guess there's still something to be said for old tech. But I had the sweep on, and then the sweep suddenly stopped after we got it going, and it was going right when I was starting to push the record button, and then it stopped. So that's what you hear going. Everything's turned on. Speakers on. Suddenly, it gasped and it went down. It's like it stopped working. So we're going to switch, because suddenly it just, I'm going to turn Spiritron on instead, because it gasped and then stopped very mysteriously. Right? Is there anyone here that wants to speak? We're here. We've switched to Spiritron. Now, admittedly, until I showed it on the image here in this app called Spiritron, I couldn't remember. I absolutely cannot remember Spiritron. Was that a magic devices or something? some apps that we were using that ran voices in complete reverse and really super fast radio backward through the stations. They don't hang on anything. But there's other little fixes too. I mean, people have their opinions one way or another about apps, but again, anything can be manipulated to speak, whether you agree with how the app was made or not. It's all about listening to all the things that you hear but listening to underneath what you're hearing, not the surface stuff. And that, if you can hear
what I was using last time was PSB7, and
if you can hear that bell sound, it's the clock outside my window at the church down the street. It is now midnight, just after 1 after midnight.
And I was using SCD1, which SCD1 is not with me. What is that?
See, again, the thing about behind the scenes is even when it's weird and things don't seem to be working always, and we're trying to get something to come through, instead of just cutting directly to all the big things that we get and, oh, what's this, and did you hear that, did you hear that, which is great stuff for those who are able to do it and who are doing it. I'm able to do it too. I can do those shows, and we'll do more of those over time. But showing, really getting through the week, showing how we make it through the weeds. And sometimes, even when we're making it through the weeds on something like this, someone in the audience, someone listening, is going to hear something that I missed. So absolutely put it in the comments in YouTube, or if you're in Twitch with me as I'm doing this, throw it down in chat if you hear something. If you watch this after it's broadcast, I'll likely edit it and stick it into YouTube, and then you can hear it from there. But absolutely, just tell me what I missed if you think I missed something.
You make movement.
Oh, it collapsed.
No.
Something's busy collapsing everything on here. With all the giggling and laughing out there, it's hard to tell what's happening.
A moment.
Yeah.
There's nothing out there.
There's people out there.
No one at all.
But they must be downstairs then, because it's easy to hear from this floor up to this floor.
No, but the people. Only two people out in the hallway right now. One is far down the hallway, busy on a project. The other one is texting on his phone. Therefore, leaving no possible reason that there would be like 5 different people running up and down the hallway at once.
Well, I mean, I'm this building was redone, so I can, that. Okay, you're right. So we've got issues. Okay, here we are. You still got the digital running?
Yep. Then of course you have whatever the fuck that thing is crawling back and forth.
Inside the door?
Yeah. Where I was demonstrating earlier. Just crawling on its hands and knees.
It's coming through. What's your name? Is there something we can do for you?
Although we are actually hearing things that are coming through, we're also demonstrating that it doesn't have to be late at night or in the evening after everyone's left the building, from the upstairs portion anyway. And it isn't always that they've left the building, because this particular building sometimes remain occupied for several hours through the night, but it's just not loud. People are usually very quiet late at night. But this was up in the day. This was up around, I'd say, 5 o'clock, maybe. So it was, I think it was after dinner that we did this. So I hung around on campus for a little longer. So this is probably around 4:30 or 5. I would have likely hung around before taking the last transport out. So, but again, this particular area of the building was considered so active, that you could get something at any point in the day, because people were seeing things throughout the day and hearing stuff. And unless they just weren't paying attention, they were distracted. But there's always that thing, that motion out of the corner of your eye, that should not be a motion, and all these other things that go on. So yeah.
I think that's twice we've been told to get out. What's down there?
I'm going to back that up real quick and see if that's exactly what I heard.
Is there something we can do for you? I think that's twice we've been told to get out. What's down there?
In all honesty, I can't be completely certain that's what was said, but at the time I swore it was, so it's possible that I could hear it at the time.
Do understand that nothing dark can come this way and can harm us. And I am calling on Aurora to keep us safe. I call on Aurora to keep us safe. I call on my guardian Aurora to keep us safe.
I could have easily blotted that whole thing out so that you all didn't know that, but at the same time, it would be disingenuous for you to not know that we have certain things that we call on as well. Not so much in a religious function. It's okay if people call things out for a religious function, if that helps. They call on whatever their savior, guardian, or whatever their God they may follow, or whatever being, or what have you. That's okay. That's all right. It's often misunderstood that because you call on something, an energy that has a name, a particular way in which it is said, it produces a particular kind of energetic response, kind of like Buddhist chants, Hindu chants. Aurora produces that same effect, and it comes in as a female when it vibrates in when you call out to that particular energy itself. Whether or not our voices are activating that particular energy, whether it activates the way music keys would activate or activate something if you play the right energetic keys. I don't know how any of that works, but I will say that it's not necessarily religious. One doesn't have to go all off the wall into thinking one must believe, if one believes this, one must believe this, and one must believe this. All of that is a misnomer, and all of it is slippery slope. And it's not necessary to imagine that you have to believe all these other things if you believe this. And if you believe this, you must believe all these other things. I can say pretty effectively that that is not even remotely true. So this is an energy I call out to that told me its name in one of the sessions that you will hear if we can get that far in this episode tonight with the home sessions, which clearly came just before these. But even though my friend, he wasn't there in the home sessions, his voice appeared in the home sessions in the weirdest way that I had already mentioned. So, but what's interesting is that it's more honest just to tell you that I'll call on a protective energy. Can I explain it? Do I know entirely what it is? Let's just say, yes, actually I do. But I can't really explain it to anyone who either doesn't want to get it, doesn't care, those kind of things, because those particular mental notations can put up a block, an intentional block. And that's your right. That's every right of every person who does that. It's not wrong. They just put up a block because they're not ready for that. They're not ready for that information. They're not ready to care. They're not ready to, quote, to believe in it one way or another. And it's okay. This is the one thing that it has to be understood, is that wherever you are in regards to any of this, however you approach it, whatever part you're ready for, you'll be ready for. Whatever part you're not ready for, you simply won't be. Not yet, in that moment. And you have to acknowledge that. Not everything's a ghost or spirit running around. Not everything's a secret alien. Not everything is. Sometimes it's absolutely nothing. But a lot of times it is quite a bit of something. There are so many layers around us in the universe, or in the multiverse. There's so many layers of existence around us. An entire civilization could be around us, going on right now, different in this building, spirit people everywhere, or other people in other dimensional spaces that might be three-dimensional and adjacent to our own, and they just have to be vibrating slightly off kilter to our own. They have to be vibrating just enough off the spectrum so we can't see them. We might be able to feel something, hear something, and that's just the three-dimensional multiverse places, or universal places, or alternate universes, whatever old words we want to use. Now we get into saying multiverse, which really works a lot. And of course, our popular fiction has started using multiverse openly as a term. But anyway, it's not a new term. But there's so many things. There's those dimensional spaces that vibrate well off of three-dimensional space. That vibrate into 4, 5, 6-dimensional spaces and beyond that. And those beings that live there, and those existences, and here's the rub. Do we exist on those other realms in actuality? And do we just project ourselves into physical form? Do we just project ourselves into the slowed up version of our world? Do we create the dramas that are built, that build our world and make it go up and down, and spin out of control, or go from good to bad to indifferent to what have you, just like today, all the dramas and distractions that we create, in order to make this world out to be something more important than it really is, other than the mass illusion that it is, that we build, that we create, that we project from another space. I'm not saying I have, quote, proof, because none of it's reproducible, but nothing of what I said is easily much of what I said isn't. See if I can get my English right, because guttural utterances just don't do any of this justice. Not a lot of what I said can be reproduced in a three-dimensional laboratory, in a three-dimensional space, can be reproduced in the scientific method, because that method is like asking to reproduce. It's like asking to reproduce the entire Library of Congress and the Library of Alexandria, and to fit or reproduce all of that in two-dimensional space, where there's left and right, but there's no depth. It's just flat. It's just a flat dimensional space, and you're asking for someone to prove that something like the Library of Congress exists, and that being asking to prove it in some laboratory test exists only in two-dimensional space. It doesn't even have depth. Just width and height, but no depth. Doesn't have the third dimensional aspect. So that's as best I can do. Usually I can write these better than I can speak them, but anyway, let's continue listening.
No harm can come to us.
here.
What were you saying?
One more is here.
Right? What's your name?
The next moment was gone.
I heard that. Say it again.
It's that fucking wallet.
And I call on Aurora. I'm telling you now. Nothing harmful can come this way. Nothing harmful can come this way. I call on Aurora. Love and light.
Aren't you?
We hear you. Aurora will protect us.
Show yourself.
And just as I noticed that that the words "show yourself" were being said, that's when that one stops. So I'll roll over to the next one and jump straight into it. So hold on a second here. Let's see if I can pull that one up.
And this is our box session at Norwich for Messenger Guardians for normal. I got the Z-Man here with me, and we're in the office. So who's here with us? Is there anything you'd like to speak? You'd like to say? Is there anything you wanted to say? I won't tell you, but anything you wanted to say? Or ask? We're here to speak with you. Okay. What was that? Hello? What's your name? Who are you? And there are people outside the door going up and down the stairwells, but that's corporeal people. But there are also people we can't see, I think, that's doing it as well. But we both think. What was that?
Sounded like it said, "Still." Sounded like it said, "Still."
I had to back that up again because I wasn't quite sure what it said either, so let me back that up. Let's do that again. One more time.
What was that?
Sounded like it said, "Still."
Your name's Philip? There's something crossed over my camera. So Something crossed in front of my camera.
I saw it.
Something crossed in front of my camera, but strange that even though my camera filter or my camera visor of viewer saw it, but I'm not sure it caught it in the image here, which you're looking at. If I seem a little off tonight, it's because I had insomnia and some muscle aches, minor stuff from the second vaccine stick for coronavirus. So I'm mostly over it, but I'm really super tired. But at the same time, I'm so interested in this that I'm trying to fight through all that. But and wanted to give you all a show. As minor and small as it is, I wanted to give you all a show. So let's continue. Let's hear that one more time.
Name's Philip. There's something crossed over my camera.
Let's see that.
Something crossed. Your name's Philip. There's something crossed over my camera. Something crossed in front of my camera. Your name's Philip. There's something crossed over my camera. What was that?
Sounded like it said Philip.
Your name's Philip? There's something crossed over my camera. Something crossed in front of my camera.
I saw it.
Okay, so whatever crossed in front of the camera, I didn't catch on the camera itself. Not this time. But when I was doing my Goddard work, it was caught very much so. We'll get to see that in the future episode.
Who was it?
He was barely calling out for days.
Yeah.
It looked like the head of something.
Yeah, it crossed right in front of my camera right here. I'll be able to hear you when I look back on this. I will be able to hear you when we look back on this.
Let's listen back to that again.
This is, I will be able to, yeah, it crossed right in front of my camera right here.
There you go.
I'll be able to hear you when I look back on this. I will be able to hear you when we look back on this. This is March 8th, 2017. Yes, March.
Yeah,
2017.
You guys noticed? I noticed, and I didn't get a chance to say it because I finally decided to take a drink. But when I said March, you heard it say back March. And then I didn't know if I really heard it in the show or heard it in the recording. But I was about to say, wow, did it just answer me in there? And then I respond back, I just heard March. So yes, let's listen to that again real quick.
Yes, March 2017. Yeah, I'll help you. I can pull the scan rate down if you want. Should I do that? Should I? Yeah, help you.
Yeah, you notice how fast those station settings are rolling, and when you hear someone scream out, help me, there's 4 or 5 or 6 stations that have rolled by in that one moment where you heard a combined voice.
I can pull the scan rate down if you want. Should I do that? Is that better?
I've noticed for the first time an eerie kind of background talking going on, or that's using the white noise from the box to talk or say something in the background. There's a series of what sounds like voices trying to use the white noise from the box itself instead of using the app from the app that's hooked up to it. I backed it up a little bit more so we can hear that again.
Is that better?
Listen to the background white noise and the voices.
I'm Glenny.
I thought whoever it was said something else, but Z says it was "Who are you?" I thought it was something else, something more like a curse. But my mind sometimes goes in those directions when he can clearly hear so much better than I can when it comes to some of these messages.
I teach here. Yes, and we have a cadet here. He's assisting us. Part of the group. We go looking for people like you.
Okay, let me pull back on that again. Something about double. The word was double, definitely. Now understand, there shouldn't be complete words coming through this, but there are complete words coming through it. It's cycling so fast that there shouldn't be complete words coming through. And again, in this case, it's not an app, it's just a white noise generator that's running. It is a, I believe it's the PSP7 that I'm using. I have a PSP11 too. I wish I could take that out quickly, but it's somewhere in my back. Now, the only thing I have in view is that you'd be able to see as my cat balls. So that's the only thing I have that's in view that you'd be able to see, that I use also in my paranormal investigation stuff. So, but my PSP11 is here too as well, and it produces a white noise, generating white noise, but it also produces temperature ratings and all these other kind of things. Probably kind of overpriced, but they're still worth it because you don't have a lot of those mechanisms on these kind of boxes easily. So
you're in trouble?
I'm going to back that up one more time. He might have said trouble instead of double.
You're in trouble? Why are you in trouble? I'm going to switch to a different app now. I'm going to pause and we're going to switch to a different app, okay? And we'll try to communicate with you better, okay? Is that all right?
Okay, so there we go with that. Now, I didn't actually have that I could find more video where we took that, but I wanted you all to be able to see what we were doing and what really to expect when it came to what really to expect when it comes to the work from the portal. It's not always the easiest thing to use, but I tell you what, when it gets material, it's extraordinarily rewarding, and that's what's so wonderful about. That's absolutely what's so wonderful. Now that we're about halfway through the show, what I want to do, or maybe a little bit more, but what I want to do is, in a moment, is to switch over to the videos where we had started originally, and let's do a mark on this 50, around 49:50 to 50:05. Okay, I'm trying to figure out what I'm looking at here and behind me. Everything's okay though. I think everything's all right. I'm just trying to make sure that everything's all right. So, before a moment there, I didn't know what was going on. But see, that's just me. You see, I'm putting my hand forward. It's just me. So anything like this is all, that's me. That's all just me. So, but if you don't see my hand moving out that far, like this far, you shouldn't actually be seeing anything behind me. And you shouldn't be seeing anything in the white space behind me. So, well, behind me and to what would be to my right. I'm sorry, yeah, it would be in my right corner. You shouldn't see anything in that back space back there. So, okay. All right, I think I have what you all want. Let me slide it over here so you all can see it. I'm gonna make this show up a little bit better than it's showing up right now for you all. Hold on. I'm gonna make it show up a little bit better. I don't know why it keeps doing that. All right. Other than there we go. Let's see if we can make this show up a little bit better. Sometimes when I'm midstream, I like to make changes.
All right, everyone.
Now, if you all remembered, I showed this. I showed just the first 5 or 6 minutes of it at a much earlier stage during the show, during our episodes. So I've finally rounded back to it, and I really want to get through these because I find them to be quite intriguing.
This is Glenny's tool, Messenger Guardians. I'm using 2 recording devices. I'm using the HD cam. Set at a slightly weird angle because I don't have a tripod right now. And I have an...
This is where the studio is sitting right now, that you all can see. It's amazing the things that can change in a 5-year period or so. I guess 4-year period, something like that. But yeah, this is back over that way on that wall over there. But there was nothing like this in this room, so it was really interesting. And it was just me living here, as it had been most of the time that I've lived here.
EVP detector. Now, if it gets too close, of course, it's going to go off because of the EM field coming off of the portal, so it can't be that close. So, from Deborah Promo, I've just been piping it, and everything's been calm, and no dark spirits can come, no unsettling spirits can be here. Put those on. Is anyone with us?
Pam.
Let's use the reverse sweep.
Well, if
See if anyone's with us.
Did you all hear that? The guy go, "What is this?" Now I don't know if I caught that in the original. I had to go back and see if it's in the original transcript. But it was an old woman sound that went, "Uh-huh," when I asked if there's anyone with us, and then you heard a guy's voice going, "What is this?" Or "What is this?" Here it is again. What is this? My apologies if I end up blowing anybody out of the room while my alternate in the so-called past is resetting the machine. Steve's. Hey, Steve, I think that's a shout out to you. I'm just thinking, but I think it is. It's because it was Steve's apostrophe S. So someone's acknowledging that this is his technology, that this is Steve's box.
Does anyone want to speak?
Which I built from his direction, his directions from the time.
Maybe chat.
Maybe chat. Oh, it sounds like he said, if I said someone speaks, he is it maybe chat.
Steve.
Steve.
Does anyone want to speak?
Maybe chat.
Maybe chat.
Boiled. But go on. Creating. T.
We'll go on creating.
Is anyone with us?
Gale in the welcome. Steve.
Does anyone want to speak?
Maybe chat.
Maybe chat.
Boiled. But go on.
We'll go on
Creating. T.
creating.
Just go.
Just go.
Just go. Go where?
Now, I realize this is coming across a bit loud, so let me turn it down a little bit for you all.
Who's speaking?
I'm dying.
My God.
Now, I couldn't tell whether or not she said I'm dying, which I don't think she said, or I'm die, so which is Diana. But she could have said I'm dying. She could be caught in her death throes or in her death moment. So, which Marian Winkowski speaks about a lot in the book When Ghosts Speak. And here I am calling myself going to go in and pull down the novel When Ghosts Speak, and here it is. For once, I'm actually able to pull a book I'm talking about, Marian Winkowski's When Ghosts Speak. So let me show it to you real quick. It'd be better if I come back full image so that you can see what I'm talking about. Okay, Marian Winkowski, When Ghosts Speak. When Ghosts Speak. If you ever get a chance to read this book, get it. And put a salute out there to Marian Winkowski, who I emailed, but I'm sure she was so busy that I was one of thousands and thousands who emailed and didn't get a response. And that's absolutely okay. Absolutely okay. But this book is what this book was inspired. Marian Winkowski is who inspired the lead character off Ghost Whisperer. However, Marianne writing this book was inspired by the people on the set telling her to go and write a book if what they're having ghosts do and some of that stuff isn't what they normally do, or and Marianne's on set along with a couple other people, or at least one other person who's one of the producers for the show, and Marianne's like, they don't normally do that. That's not how they always communicate. And they're like, well, go write a book, and she did. She wrote When Ghosts Speak. Very good piece, very good starter book for anyone out there who wants to get started in understanding the world of spirit communication, or whatever you want to call it. Especially if Marianne didn't use instruments, she was a physical medium, so she could see and hear them, which is very draining on physical mediums. By the way, they don't always live to be old people, because it's so draining on them that it really just takes their energy. It really takes their energy. That's why they can't do it for very often, and they have to go on long hiatuses if they're on TV shows or whatever. So it really comes at a cost. Having to put that energy out like that and put those feelers out like that absolutely comes at a cost. And that isn't some sort of horrible, evil cost. It's not at all. It's no different than working your fingers to the bone at a particular job, mining and doing these other things. When putting that energy out like that causes issues internally, certain, a black lung, I almost remember the name of it. Those kind of things. It comes at a price, or at a cost. Well, these kind of physical medium jobs, where a person's bringing in all this energy and they're putting it back out to read that in between space, comes at a cost. It comes at a psychological cost. These are the people who can control and turn their abilities, not turn them on and off, but can choose when to pay attention to them and when to not pay attention. And there are those of us who have certain varying aspects of that ability. I would say virtually every human being on Earth has some sort of varying aspect of that ability. But it's whether or not culturally one's allowed to use it, or if they're going to be imprisoned for it, burned at the stake, medicine shoved down their throats. They may even be pushed into a terrible mental space where they're driven mad by the images, the voices, the people coming, and without being able to understand them and make sense of them, or get those who have the same things happen to them but can completely make sense of it and can control when they come in and out, and can live with it and have always lived with it from the times they were babies. And so there are those who can handle and those who just can't. Those where the ability to do this is turned on by trauma, something horrible that has happened to them in their lives. It could just suddenly kick on a level of the physical, of the mental, physical, psychological world that isn't ready to take in this other layer, universal layer, and that can be a problem. So, and that can cause problems. And then there are those who are completely ready. Then there are those who are, for their own reasons, completely shut out to the entire thing. They can put up walls where they don't believe in this and don't believe in that. None of that exists. And, well, the thing is, the universe will give you exactly what you're asking for, no judgment. If you say this doesn't exist, and for you it won't, until it does. Until suddenly it jumps out at you. And you have no other choice other than to either seeing is believing, or have a heart attack, because something that you totally weren't expecting came at you. So it's not really about whether you believe or disbelieve. It's whether or not you're able to handle those energies to come in and out, and whether or not you're able to turn them on or off, and whether or not you're able to go, possibility of that, but I'll put it on the back burner. Entirely a different approach than, well, I don't believe it at all, and shutting yourself out. Not a judgment about it. It's just that it produces a certain response in the universe when you put that energy out there. If all you want to do is debunk and crash and destroy, then all you will receive as far as the input goes is input that can be debunked, crashed, and destroyed for you. It goes the same for those who believe everything and don't know how to filter information for anything. Then all they'll ever get is something that confirms everything they believe. And I'm not saying right or wrong. It can be just as problematic if they don't know how to filter it, don't know how to see what that filter is, don't know how to understand that that filter will sound different from one to the next person. Sometimes 5 people in the room will hear the exact same thing, and the machine will catch it, which means there is definitely something going on. There is definitely something different happening. And then there are those who are able to control and hear things and go, I'm not sure that's what I think it is, but we'll put it on the back burner. That is definitely something, and there is someone over there, but they're freaking me out just a little bit, but I'm going to go on by them and pay attention here, because this is more positive. This is something that really needs my attention. Those are the ones who can control it. Those are the ones who don't use fear to let it get in their way. And fear is, again, another energy level that can be fed on. Just like in 3-dimensional space, fear can be fed on. Tyrants do it all the time. Despotic leaders do it all the time. Extreme movements, and I'm not going to use the P word, do it all the time, where they use fear so that the population gets afraid, and then the people who use that fear feed on that fear. They get money off that fear. They get all sorts of delight off that fear, and none of it has to be real. All they have to do is create it. Same for this in-between world. If something is existing there and it knows all it needs to do is to get you afraid, and it feeds on that quantum level vibration, it feeds on that particular quantum level vibration, then it's going to do something to freak you out. It's going to use your belief systems against you. It's going to do all sorts of crazy stuff. Whether your belief system's scientific or religious, or it doesn't really matter. Whether you don't have one, we all have one. We just don't realize what it is, or don't realize there are things. We all have fears. We all have hopes. It will use everything in us to work against us. If that triggers the fear response, and that triggers that quantum level of energy, then it can be fed on. And again, this happens in 3-dimensional space all the time. All we got to do is turn on the news, turn on the extreme stuff, turn on all the anger, turn on all the hate, and it produces a fear energy that is being fed on by not just people, flesh and blood in the world, but things in between that enjoy that. And as long as we give that energy out, these things can feed more. Same in 3-dimensional space. If we put out more fear, then those producing it for us will feed more of it to us, and they will get the biggest joy out of watching us freak out. People on TV shows or on these channels, whatever, that I won't be mentioning, but this energy works exactly the same way. The energy of psychology works the same way in 3-dimensional space as it does in 5-dimensional, 5th-dimensional space, or the space in between where we are now and where it is thought that we go when we quantum separate ourselves from our physical form, when our actual consciousness energy separates from the physical form, because the consciousness energy is not counting on the physical form to keep it cohesive. So there's a lot of work and study out there on that whole idea, and that can be looked up. Maybe we'll cover it at a later point on the show. And I know I've spun out, but I do that all the time, and it gets these ideas out there. It gets these ideas being talked about, and the one thing it doesn't do is it doesn't blame people for their own mental issues. It doesn't blame it. This is just the energy they're working with. And if someone pushes them in the wrong direction and does not help them work with the energies that are coming at them, the energies that they can sense and the energies that they have with them, and their own experiential energies, the things they're projecting outward, if there isn't someone there to help people work on that, to help them understand, then there are going to be problems. There are always going to be issues. And we're here to help each other. So there are always going to be people who can help that person. Amazing stuff. All of this starts on the psychological level and works its way out. But these levels are much deeper, richer, and more interesting and more transdimensional than we often give it credit. Let's listen again.
Hey, here's the deal. Favorite.
Back
Yeah,
one more time.
Who's speaking?
I'm dying.
My God. Hey,
Who's speaking?
I'm dying.
My God. Hey,
I'm Don.
I'm dying.
My God.
I'm die. She says
Just
it
go.
again. You just go.
Go where? Who's speaking?
I'm died.
My God.
Okay.
One guy, it sounds like
Does
he's
anyone
just
want to
talking.
speak?
Many chat. Loyal. Good going. Creating.
T.
Just go.
Just go.
Okay.
Go where? Who's speaking?
I'm died.
My God.
Okay.
Here's the deal. Favorite.
Yeah, I.
First aid. Moron.
Has been.
Has been.
Places.
A picture.
The devil.
What happened? Hit the brake.
As usual.
It will. That.
Revolution.
Okay, I paused that because the bells you hear in the background are actually in the video, and it's the same church.
Head up and on.
Upside.
Feel the weather.
All source. Radio.
Huh, radio.
Feel the beast.
And
Anyone wishes to speak?
It was like someone was acknowledging this was a radio.
Here.
we're listening.
We're listening. Let's back that up again.
All source.
When I say, does anyone want to speak? We're listening.
Radio.
Radio.
Feel the beast.
And
Anyone wishes to speak?
Here.
we're listening.
Remember it.
I'm glad you're listening.
I'm glad you met. The next one was, I'm glad you met. Let's back that up real quick.
Radio.
Feel the beast.
And
Anyone wishes to speak?
Here.
we're listening.
Remember it.
I'm glad you're listening.
That
Was out.
target.
I feel you.
Target.
I feel you here with me.
Baseball.
Baseball.
Quoting.
But it wasn't.
Experience and BBC.
Anything I can do for you?
Okay, I turned down the desktop audio a little bit so that it wouldn't overwhelm you all. But so I'm hoping it's not doing that. I can't tell independently right now because I've turned it down far enough to, I'm trying to make it not go into the red when you're listening, so it doesn't like blow your ears out.
Regular said we come
Here. We.
people.
How?
People.
We don't have.
We don't have.
What don't you have?
Well, it's not.
It sounds like she said family.
What don't you have?
Well, it's not.
The family or your family.
Was it that?
Family. Mile. Give a deal. Fascinating. Yeah.
The radio.
Let me pack that that up again because it almost sounds like I was talking or saying something, but then again, I don't think I was.
Fascinating. Yeah. The radio.
I can't quite tell. Let me back it up again.
Tomorrow morning.
Tomorrow morning. First time I heard that. Okay, he said something very clear right there.
How's it going?
I'm quite sure what the guy is saying right there. He says it so quickly. I might have to actually take the line and slow it, bring it, haul it back to 7:05 and try and figure out what he's saying.
Tomorrow morning.
Tomorrow morning.
Yeah. Samantha, the 75 give a deal. In this chat. Fascinating. Yeah. The radio.
I can't tell. It sounded like I said something at the same time.
What was that?
That was me. Okay. You can hear me saying, "What's that?" Responding back to them. So I apologize if you can't quite hear the words that I'm saying and what I might be saying back to them.
Coverage. What?
What?
What do you need me to do?
Transcend.
Transcend.
Transcend. And I don't think I'd seen the movie Transcend by this point, or I don't know if it was even out yet. So I said, what can I do? Transcend. The person even knew what it is they needed to do. That word just isn't coming out of nowhere. The app is cycling really fast through stations, so Transcend. That station app has cycled 5 or 6 times, or 7 or 8 times in that 1 second and a half.
Transcend what?
I'm dazed. Did y'all hear that?
What do you need me to do?
Transcend.
Transcend. And then I'm dazed.
Transcend. Transcend what?
I'm dazed. Goes along with, walking off kilter. Goes along with being confused, but walking off kilter, dizzy, I'm dazed.
Laden duck.
Laden duck. Strange.
Nothing? What do you need me to do?
Nothing. They're responding. They seem to be responding to me trying to, tweak the portal while it's working. This happens quite a bit when I'm during the times I do portal work. I don't do it as much as I normally might. But I try to see if I can get back into it. I was doing it more often when we were doing seminars before COVID-19. When those come back, I'll be doing, trying to figure out my own way, going into meditation and figuring out my own way of expanding the portal into something more useful, without having to ask Steve or other people to give over what they were told, because that was for their use and for their particular box and for their particular method of communication. And I need to be able to do my meditations and go in and learn and understand the information myself, because I do lucids, heavy lucids. People call it dreaming, but when you're doing a lucid, you're out of your body and in other dimensional spaces, talking and meeting with people. and you're really there, which is why that goes into long-term memory and stays planted in long-term memory and not in some ethereal space between wake and sleep and goes away when you're awake for a few minutes. Lucids implant in long-term memory. So yeah, my abilities is going through lucids, and I have other abilities too that I don't want to talk about on cam, but going through lucid space is definitely one of them. And just about everybody can do it, by the way. It's not some special ability, woo-woo ability. Yeah, and if anybody hears things on here that I miss, please send it to me either in the chat. I know nothing's going on in the chat right now, but send it to me in the chat or send it to me in YouTube's chat when it comes over to that side. You can even send me a message at messengerguardiansvermont@gmail.com and have me go back in a show and listen again, and I'll do just that for you.
Placed it like on clear, and I have the reverb. I have the reverbs off, and I have the scan rate at 25. 25.
The reverbs are off, and the scan rate is at 25 for the app that I'm using. Can't remember whether or not I said which app I'm using, but I'm not trying to hide anything. It's just that I don't say every one thing 100% because I'm so busy listening that I don't catch all the details to say out. But there was a time, and I'm glad it finally came, when I thought I might need this material to explain how things are done. Little did I know I was recording for future shows, distant future shows. Well, distant for this time.
So anyone wants to speak? Is the scan rate too fast for you?
What? Let me bring it back, because I'm hearing more stuff. Let me bring it back.
Scan rate too fast for you?
It is. When I asked, is the scan rate too fast? He says it is, which, you hear viable responses. They're not just chance responses to the questions. Is the scan rate too fast? It is. Quite often they're trying to use this box to speak. They're trying to use that, and it takes energy. It takes a great deal of energy psychologically for them, quantum for them to manifest it by thought, in order to put the thought energy through to the airwaves, the physical airwaves, and manipulate the app so that they can speak through it. And it takes a moment if they can master how long it takes, because there's no real time involved. Time's illusion. You've got to deal with an illusion as well. But he said it quickly. It is. So he understands how to do it, as if he's there with lips, is saying it into the air, which he's not. He's using background noise and the app to say it. Some just use the background noise of the device, and you can hear them as EVPs in the room, speaking using that white noise, but not coming through the box.
And I have the scan rate at 25. 25. So anyone wants to speak? Is the scan rate too fast for you?
It is, and he's very clear about that. And I think this is the same entity that said, we're listening. Yeah. He said, it is. Yeah. sounded like there was a woman's voice that said turn it down, which means turn the scan rate down. Maybe, maybe not. We'll pass that one for now. You all can tell me what you think you heard. Time notation is at 1 hour 25. You can come back and tell me what you thought you heard. I'm not sure what the time notation will be once I go put this into edit and do it, but look between 120 and 126. What?
Slow it down a little bit.
Okay, I said I slowed it down a little bit, and then I sound like I got an answer.
Slow it down a little bit.
I'm not quite sure what the guy said.
Is that better?
Yes? Is that better? Yes? Listen again.
Slow it down a little bit. Is that better?
Oh, now listen back on this. Listen back on this. You hear someone say, I want that light on. Listen again. He says, I want that light on after I turned it off.
Slow it down a little bit. Is that better?
You hear something else in there that I'm not going to repeat, that we've had to hear over the last 5 years, but if you do hear it, for those of you who are hearing it. I want that light on. You hear someone say, I want that light on. One more time. Flick that. He said, I want that light on. Flick that light on.
Who would like to speak?
It's time.
I'm here if you need me.
Okay. Alright, team. This is going to be interesting because I don't know if you all are going to see this, so I'm going to do this. I'm going to flash it, and you'll notice I took a flash of it. But in the corner, you may not see it because you may not see my pointer. As a matter of fact, you don't, because I have it set for you to not see. But on the left side of the flashlight, lower left down down behind the flashlight, there looks almost as if there is a face moving there, just constantly moving there. This is something I didn't notice before, and something I wouldn't have gone to go look for, because I just wouldn't have done it. It just, my eyes are really bad unless I'm focusing on some spot. And I just happened to be looking back, and it kept moving when it shouldn't have, because I was already standing back away from the bed. Back away from the stand. I was standing back away from this. So I wasn't in the corner where the app was sitting. It's really odd, but if you look where my phone would be sitting, which is behind where the flashlight is, sitting to the left of the portal, it looks like there's someone's face right there. You can see the nose, the two eyes. goes, yeah. When I ask, can I help you? Now my arm is covering the spot where the face was. Barbara.
Is that a little bit better?
What?
Yes. Can you remember my name?
I backed it up a little bit. I'll hear that again.
Can you remember my name?
Not quite sure what he was saying. If anything. If anything.
Is there anything I can do to help you?
This
What
happened.
happens?
This happened. And I say, what happened? Hold on. Sounds like I hear something else.
What happens?
Let's back that up again. Sounds like someone said his one dad or something, or his.
What happens?
Not sure what's been said.
Have you been here before?
Yeah.
When?
The Red Sea. The Red Sea. I don't quite know how that fits in, but there are some who still fall, even in the in-between, they fall into the category of certain religious beliefs, which scares them into staying trapped in between worlds. Again, your own fear is used to feed them and other things that feed off that fear.
Jail. Where? Where were you in jail?
No, he answered that, and I'm trying to see where he said that that was the case.
Jail. Where? Where were you in jail?
Need to get a hug. Did everybody hear that one? Need to get a hug. I think just about all of us need a hug. Is there anyone here that wants to come forward? I heard
heard you. I just said it's me.
I think the SCD1 is shut down.
Your threat. It's a joke. It sounds like they're talking to each other whenever I'm listening to, and even when we thought it shut down. I mean, I must have gone over and restarted up the scanning cycle again. But yeah, very interesting.
Anyone like to speak? Would anyone like to speak? I'm still here.
This is special.
Yes.
Let's back that up one more time. Thanks. Back it up a little further. That's why I think they're talking to each other, because they're saying things like, thanks, this is special.
Would anyone like to speak? I'm still here. It is special. Yes.
Yeah, in a bit. The guy in the end goes, yeah, in a bit.
It is special. Yes.
The little green light is my, you may not be able to see, oh, you do see it. It is there. It's just that there seems to be another green light, but it's not a light, it's a hole in my screen or something. The green lights are the EMF reader, and it's going off, which is why I turned the camera.
I feel someone here with me.
I need to back that up. 1 second left, and I need to back that up.
I feel someone here with me.
So I'm going to pull that, and we'll finish listening to the last part before the end of the show. But yeah, that's definitely something to listen to. It's so interesting. It starts, of course, getting interesting when I actually pull it. When I actually so interesting. Right. All right. Let's see if I can find the rest of that. Should be able to. That's strange. Oh, I think I know why. Back her up. Here we go. Alright, guys. Okay, now let me. All right, everybody, I'll have your other spot here in just a second. There's noises in the background in the office here that nothing paranormal, I assure you, but I gotta wait a second so that I can clear those noises out. For some reason I thought I had the correct portal event. I still don't have these up on something where I can quickly push them up onto the screen, but again, I don't have the control board for that. All right. A moment ago this was going, I'm not sure we caught it, but it's not going anymore. I can feel someone in the room with me. In all honesty, there was a lot, sorry about that, I kind of hit the microphone. There's a lot in the room with me, apparently. There were a lot of entities in the room that, only in watching this did I notice that there was someone moving right up beside the portal behind the flashlight that I could see their face and nose and eyes, and they kept moving, but I don't see them now. And I haven't been looking either because there could be someone there, but I'm gonna keep going. But yeah, there is more going on.
questions. Yes.
You catch that whole thing? People are asking you questions. Isn't that, now, again, the app that I have it set on, and all these apps are like this, it's cycling so fast that it simply would not hang on anything long enough for it to actually bring out all those words. And yet in the background you hear the man clearly saying, people are asking you questions, which means they are asking me things, and I am hearing some things, but a lot of this takes a lot of listening back on in order to pick up on. Let's go ahead and let's back this up a little bit and then continue again from that extraordinary response. People are asking him questions. Busy.
People are asking you questions. Yes. Do you not want me to ask anything?
So I'm going to switch off live radio and go over to the bank and see if that'll work.
Let me back that up. Listen again real closely, because I swear I'm hearing other things in the room as well when I say that. So I'm going to turn this up just a tiny bit and hope I don't blow your ears out when I do this, but I'm only doing it so I can let you all hear the background better.
So I'm going to switch off live radio and go over to the bank and see if that'll work.
I hear a woman saying something. Yeah, there's a woman saying something way back in the background, almost whispering, but I can't quite tell what she's saying because there's so many layers sitting on top of it. Let's back that up one more time.
So I'm going to switch off live radio and go over to the bank and see if that'll work.
Yes, it is, or yes, it will. And there's still a woman whispering in the background behind that voice. Still don't get what she's saying. I'm going to back it up one more time.
So I'm going to switch off live radio and go over to the bank and see if that'll work.
I'm not sure what she's saying, but you can hear it. You can hear it at the 211 time base on the main video here, and come back to the 149.50 time base in that area. 149.40, 149.50.
Any noise you're hearing right now, there's the bank and see if that'll work.
And quite often you can hear me doing what I'm doing right now. I'm talking to the audience, even from here. Even before I ever started the show, I approached this work from the point of, let's treat it like a show. Let's treat it like teaching people about what to do. And this is how I ran my seminars as well. My seminar sections, or when I would do the seminars in Burlington, and the ones that I was able to do at Norwich. Still can't tell exactly what that woman's saying in the background. Light voice. They're all talking to each other and laughing at each other.
Any noise you're hearing right now, there's coming up from outside the room. Someone's going into their apartment.
That didn't get picked up, by the way, by the mics on the camera.
Anybody like to speak?
It sounds like this is Rob. It did sound like he was talking. Who is it? Bob. Because he said Rob and then he said Bob, which, by the way, are nicknames to the same name, Robert. Hey, Elizabeth. It's like he was saying her name. Hey, Elizabeth. This is Rob. Bob. Hey, Elizabeth. She says his name again, too. She says Bob. Bob. Hey, Elizabeth. There was more than one person in my room. Bob, Elizabeth, Mike was in there, but you may not have heard Mike at this time, and I may not have introduced Mike, and I don't even know if Mike is still around, but he was for the very longest time.
You can see the detector is moving again.
The music, and they were talking about music, and now the kid was screaming, and my EMF detector was going crazy. It was sitting in the middle of my bed. That's where the EMF detector was, in the middle of my bed. So it really shouldn't have been going off at all. Let me back that up. It almost sounds like she said something horrific. Let me back that up one more time.
Again.
Here's that music again.
Is there anyone who wants to speak?
Populate. She went, what the? Where'd you put that? It's like she didn't like what I was doing or how I was moving anything. Because she goes, what the? What'd you do with that? Listen again.
Is there anyone who wants to speak?
Populate. What the? Where you put that? I'll check them out. Or I'll rip them out. I can't tell. So whoever it is that wants to take something out, they don't want something in, but the things that I see stuck in have to be there in order for you to actually hear the device. Oh shit! That's what's on the audio. Anyone out there? That's what's on the audio. Now you'll notice that I'm just listening to them going back and forth with each other. Yeah, definitely just listening to them go back and forth. And sometimes they say something very clear.
Was anyone? Did that work for anyone? I see that my EVP detector keeps going off wildly, but it's far away from the SCD-1.
So the SCD-1 shouldn't be setting it off because it's far away from it. It's the electromagnetic field is from the machine, which comes out quite a ways, a good foot, isn't anywhere near the EMF detector.
Computer's off.
That is crazy.
And it's quite a distance away from the SCD-1.
or the cam. Just anyone need help? Anyone need help?
Might not be what he said. I think I heard something different. Get him. Did y'all hear that? Get him. That's odd. Wait, hold on.
Anyone need help?
Get him.
Is this better? I've slowed it down a little bit.
Oh, he said something very specific. Back up. When I said that I slowed it down, he said something very specific.
Is this better? I've slowed it down a little bit.
Ooh. One more time.
Is this better? I've slowed it down a little bit.
Something about you know what.
Is this better? You spoke my name earlier today. Can you remember my name? What was that?
It is kind of dumb. Somebody called my name dumb, and that's okay. I guess you're not used to it. It would sound dumb. Here's me. My question again. Him saying it's kind of dumb.
You spoke my name earlier today. Can you remember my name? What was that? Jester.
And gesture. You know, if someone who said it is kind of dumb, and apparently I missed it at the time, but I heard the guy who next to him was said jester, so they want to call me essentially calling me a court jester. Ooh, what was that?
Jester.
Triple SS? I'm not sure if that's what he really said.
What was that? Jester. Can you read my thoughts? Any of you?
We're good, hey?
What would you like me to know about you? I'll be able to hear you when I roll this back and listen to it.
Something about so age appropriate. Listen back.
About you.
I'll be able to hear you when I roll this back and listen to it. That should tell you. Listen to that again. What do you think? He's like, what do you think? Don't ask. Either don't ask Murray or don't ask something. But they're talking to each other. Don't ask where we or something, but don't ask something. Inconclusive on the last set of words, but don't ask was the first set. When the guy said that, the guy showed them something that he made that, What do you need from me? What would you like me to do? Some therapy. What would you like me to do? Some therapy. Jeez. Just because I was doing this kind of work, he's like, some therapy. Yes, spirits and other entities can be absolute smartasses. Don't be mistaken into thinking otherwise. What do you need from me? What would you like me to do? Some therapy? And the other one agrees, yeah. I'll have a dinner. It's like either like therapy and the other one's going, yeah, and another one's going, I'll have the dinner. So one wants me to serve him, one wants me to go have therapy. These people are just such bright, shining lights. Don't ask something. Don't ask Murray or something. What do you need from me? What would you like me to do? Some therapy. Someone agreeing with him. I'll have the dinner. What do you need from me? What would you like? I had to go back on that again so you all could hear it. Like me to do? I'll have the dinner. Someone says, what have you got?
As you can see, it's back to being just one blip. The EVP detector.
EMF detector. Yeah. EMF detector. Electromagnetic fields.
So it's not going off. And you can see it's quite a distance from the SCD-1, so it doesn't get set off.
And it also doesn't get set off by walkie-talkies because I don't have any. And if you leave a walkie-talkie on idle and pop it, anything nearby within its electromagnetic field, which is a little distance out, makes go off. So be mindful that walkie-talkies, when you use them, you don't set your electronic equipment off when you use them. When you key them and when you use them regularly. It sounds like the SCD-1 stopped again. Now listen carefully while this is stopped. Let me turn up the sound before I turn the SCD-1 back on in the video. Listen to this. Sorry about that, guys. I didn't mean to blow you out there for a moment. I was hoping for a little bit more silence so we could actually hear the silent portion or hear the room better, but I didn't hear what I thought I was going to hear, so apparently the silent part didn't break long enough in that spot.
Security app.
Security app.
Security app.
someone's name there is Russ, because someone went, "Hi, Russ."
What I'm going to do now is I'm going to turn off the SCD1, and I'm actually going to, for the moment, until I set up the next one, I'm going to turn on a little water. Just in case I get any old style EVPs coming through while I'm trying to do this. And I'll switch over. To another program that I have on here. I'm going to switch over to Ethereal Box. There we go. Okay. Hopefully that'll give us a little bit of something as well. So does anyone want to speak? This is Glennie. Do you know me? Okay. I'm going to turn off the water. I do feel someone with me, though. Who's here? Who's here with me? Can you tell me your name? What do you need me to do for you?
That sounded like my name.
What do you need me to do for you? Is there anything I can do for you?
Yeah, I added the music. I don't even know what app I was using. Back her up. Lewis. I thought that was me for a moment there. It wasn't me. Someone named Lewis.
Wow. I felt you here a moment ago. Who was that?
The crowd goes, what?
I felt you here a moment ago. Who was that?
The crowd goes something. I think he said the crowd goes away. There was a bunch of people there and then they went away.
Who was that?
The crowd goes something.
I felt you here a moment ago. Who was that?
I'm not sure what that last word is. The crowd goes something.
Reader.
He says, what's this? Reader.
Is there anything I can do for you?
Crap. I need to see what just happened. Okay, hold on, guys. I need to see what just happened. Hopefully it's... Let me see if I can restore that at the correct spot. I think I got it.
Who do you want to love you?
Let me back up a little bit
Down
more.
for it. What do you need from me? Let me know who you are. That blip again? Is there anything I can do for you? I felt you here a moment ago. Who was that?
The crowd goes away. Okay, we got that far already. That thumping you hear was coming from an apartment door down, either up on my floor or down just below it.
I just saw you move the EVP detector. You want to move that blip again? Please?
EMF
I don't
detector.
have to, but it would be nice for me to know you're here.
EMF detector. It's just sometimes you're in the moment and you just can't remember the three letters you're looking for. Is not EVP because that's audio, but EMF.
Confirmation.
Take the time.
Let me know who you are.
I found her.
Do you know me?
You must listen.
I'm trying to figure out what she just said.
Let me know who you are.
I found her.
Do you know me?
You must
The founder.
Let me know who you are.
I found her.
We found her.
Do you know me?
That's what she said. We found her.
take the time.
Take the cut.
Let me know who you are.
I found her.
We found her. I don't know why I didn't respond to that.
Do you know me?
You must listen.
I'm trying to listen.
You must listen, he said.
What do you need from me?
That's my refrigerator turning on in the video. The compressor.
Down for it.
Down for it. You let me know what you need me.
He says, okay, pull away. When you hear this guy's voice before where he mentions the spirits are leaving or the crowd is leaving, you hear fewer voices there and they're asking questions, but they're asking in such a quick rate. it's very difficult to hear them all come through. You can only hear the more prominent voices come through. That sounds just like what we deal with nowadays. The loudest voice, the most prominent voice, is the one that often gets heard unless you're specifically listening for the lesser voice. Unless you're specifically listening for someone who almost never gets heard and you're just focused on the crowd and listening to that little voice right there who's feeling really depressed and down because no one ever wants to listen to them or hear them. And that's how you try approaching this. Not always responding to the biggest, baddest voices unless they've made a very particular response to a very particular question.
Need to do for you? How can I tell your story? How can I help you? Who do you want to love you? I'll turn this app off unless you need me to help you. If there's anything you need, let me know.
Here's where I'm going to turn up the room noise again.
Tik-Tok.
What was that? Unless you need me to help you. If there's anything you need, let me know.
Tik-Tok.
What was that?
Every all the heavy.
Is there anything else I can do? I'll go back and listen to it.
Goodbye. As soon as I did that, he's like, goodbye. Knowing I was about to turn the app off.
Okay, I'm going to try and close this out. Maybe use one more app, maybe close it out, depending on what you all would like.
I'm flickering.
I'll do what I can for you. Any last messages? I'm going to say good night. Okay? Good night to everyone. I'm going to say a mental prayer to clear out the dark and allow the good to move on if you need. going to say a mental prayer to clear out the dark and allow the good to move on if you need. We'll talk again.
Creatures.
They won't come here. To clear out the dark and allow the good to move on if you need. We'll talk again.
Creatures.
They won't come here. The darkness may not stay here. Do you all remember me? I'll remember you. They won't come here. The darkness may not stay here. The darkness may not stay here. Do you all remember me? I'll remember you. I'm Glennie. The darkness may not stay here. Do you all remember me? I'll remember you. I'm Glennie. Close this session. Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to close this session. Thank you. I'm backing it up one more time because I realized, and I don't know how long. I guess it's proving how tired I am. I don't know how long I had the microphone off while I was talking to you guys. I hope you heard there was a lot going on. So most of this really had to do with what you were hearing from the desktop audio. A lot of that had to do with what you were picking off from the desktop audio, and I apologize. I have no idea if my mic was only off for a minute or if it was off for 5 minutes, but I realized that strangely enough that you couldn't hear me, and I had paused it because I wanted you to hear the guy say, "Let him leave." And I didn't say anything to him when he said, "Let him leave." Just as I switched it off, he got out the last line, "Let him leave."
And then she said something else, and it's like they were saying, well, he's done. He's not going to listen to us anymore. Let him leave. I mean, the responses in this went right along with what I was saying. So I backed it up a little bit more.
Do you all remember me? I remember you.
She went, pray for us.
I'm Glennie.
And that background music that you hear, that was part of the app. That was a portion of the app that was playing this ethereal music.
I'll speak to you as much as... Do you all remember me? I remember you. I'm Glennie. I'll speak to you as much as I can. And thank you. I'm going to close this session. Thank you.
Let him leave. Okay. This is what I was saying when I realized my mic was down or my mic wasn't running. He said, let him leave. And I didn't respond to the guy, which was really kind of strange because I clearly hear him now say, let him leave.
All right, the EVP jumped a bit. It was sitting way over here on my bed, well away from, because look how close it has to be in order to set itself off. Well, that's just after I've turned it off. But it has to be, if I turn it back on for a moment, it's unhooked from anything. And again, I turn it back on for a moment to show you how powerful the EM field is for the SCD, for the portal. You notice that look how powerful that is, but the more further away you move away from it, it won't set off. Now, if I set it against here, it would set off. It's too close to the way too close to the EM field of the portal, so it sits. Even the camera can't really set it off easily. So
it sets off when it's too close to the portal's EM field, which is a pretty strong portal, a pretty strong. This has got a pretty strong magnet in there. But there is something else that I realized that is that there was a third video here, and I know there was a third video here because inside the video you hear someone use the words "oh God" in the room when I shut the portal down for a moment, and either I missed it because I'm too tired. But that was definitely Z, but he was in meditation at the time I was doing this. But when I had him hear it, because I recognized the voice, he says, that was me. He goes, that's where I was. He says, I was there, and I said, I need that light when you turned the light off when you were doing that. And I didn't tell him I turned the light off. He said, I remember saying, I need that light. And you hear coming through the portal, turn that light back on. So yeah, it was quite interesting. It was really a weird next morning when I met him after this. Met up with him to let him listen to some of this. It was really strange, really interesting. But there is a third section to this. I'm almost certain of it.
So we're going to pull away. I mean, it was sat over here on my bed, and it was going into the orange line. I didn't know if anybody saw that when I showed it with the cam. So, it's not there now. But from moment to moment, I felt somebody here, in the room with me. So, I really wasn't sure what I was getting all the time, or who I was getting all the time. But
it's really strange. So I was talking a lot with you all in there. I was talking a lot with the people who were in there with me. But I'm certain now, I mean, more certain than ever, that there was a much shorter version, I mean, a much shorter third piece that was part of this portal event because of the what was happening and the sounds that I was getting. But the video doesn't appear anywhere. Doesn't appear anywhere. So, which is really strange, and it's possible I never loaded the third part, but there was another part, like maybe a part just before it, but I'm certain, very certain, that this is the video. This is absolutely the session where oh God, came across. Maybe it's in there. I know it's in there. I remember hearing it. I know it's there. It's possible that I'm so tired that I missed it tonight. And I apologize, but I was looking for that. I was so carefully looking for that. Really, I was. That's something that I was looking forward to. All right. Well, everyone, I can only say that I hope you all caught a lot more in there than I did tonight, but I heard still there's so much going on. What I am going to do, and I'll probably do it maybe as a quick refresh to last 10 or 15 minutes. I'm going to pull the old transcript because I know I have the transcript online in Google Drive somewhere. I'm going to pull the old transcript and find that piece and see if I can locate it, and hopefully I'm still worthy enough to have heard that disembodied voice, because it was a voice that was an EVP and not a voice coming through, and it didn't come through using or manipulating the audio from the app, but a couple of times it did, and that I need that light, or flick on that light. That supposedly came from someone who was in the room but was in meditation. Well, it's not just someone, it was he was there, and he confirmed it without me asking. I just said, listen to this, and he says, wait a minute, I remember that's where I was. I remember hearing you and seeing you, but it was in dark, and there was only one light source in the middle, and you were talking to all these spirits. Then you turned the light out, and I remember saying, I need that light. He says, so that's what you were doing. And so yeah, that was absolutely him. Yeah, it's pretty amazing. But anyway, well, guys, good night to everyone. Be well.